Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to From the Hearts of Men radio show / podcast. I am your host, Kocysha LaShaun, founder of Be Accelerated into Purpose and overseer of Humbled by His Grace Ministries. Well, we are here yet again, and I am super excited. I told y'all gonna hear me say that every time because most of the guests that are coming on are guys that I have worked with, gone to school with, have even did outreach efforts with, and today is no different. The young man that I have as my special guest today, y'all, we actually grew up in church together. He is younger than I am, so I have had the opportunity to see him. We've not always been in touch, but I've been watching him on social media, and I've seen him go from as he has grown as a husband, as a father, and now even going through school. I think I even saw the graduation. That was years ago, but I've had the opportunity to see him grow into the man that he is now. And I am just super excited to be able to reach out and have him on my show and to share some things with us on today. So allow me, without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Mr. DeAndre Fitzgerald.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here today. I am super excited, like I say, because I've known you so long, and I'm just so happy to see all the things that you are doing. And so this just warms my heart. So tell us a little bit about who DeAndre is.
Well, again, my name is DeAndre Fitzgerald. I am born out of Helena, West Helena, Arkansas, born and raised. I graduated from Central High School in Helena. After graduating from there, I came up to Little Rock, met my wife, my now wife of 16 years. I have 3 beautiful grown children, one 5-year-old grandbaby going on 15.
Wow.
I currently work at a prominent health insurance company. I'm a quality analyst there by day. In the evening time, I do my side business, which is Teddy Bear's Workshop. I build DIY projects or other little projects that anyone comes up with, or any ideas that they want to try to send my way for me to build. I tackle all those little small to medium projects. I also, I was touched on, I graduated from ULA. I graduated from ULA with my Bachelor of Science in Health Education.
Okay, awesome. I'm super excited today because as I read over your bio, your story, your message, obviously it was something that I was not aware of, but I love it, and I am sure. So y'all that are listening, please tune in, lean forward, because his story definitely touches on an area that we don't hear talks about a lot, and a lot of people are, when you hear about it, some people, you get stigmatized a certain way, or even within the Black community, it's like you don't go to counseling, you don't go to therapy, you rough it out, you suck it up, and you just, So today we're talking about God is my friend, God as my friend. And so, Dre, you have shared some things that you have gone through as a father, as a husband, and as a man. And we just want to delve into that now. Take us back to, I know that you're going to be sharing with us about the loss of your kids and how that eventually led to a separation and how you dealt with depression. So I'm going to give the floor to you to share, take us back, and yes, speaking to us.
Okay, yeah, like you said, growing up in Helena, it's kind of the requirement for a man to be tough. That, don't show emotions, don't show weakness. So I was instilled in that from my father, my mother, and then I also looked up to my big brother. So all these people played a big part of me, of who the kind of man that I had growing up to be. I was in the church. My mother made us go to church. Even if she didn't go, she made us go to church. So you got a young man who was taught to how, be strong, be tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into church and you have this ideal of what God is.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the stories about, trying to think of the story, the stories about God raising Lazarus from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
You hear these stories of how the one with the issue of blood touched his garment and she healed him. So I'm laying the foundation of this is my thought process. So
Okay.
I can't show emotion, but I know I got God. I've been Sunday school, I've been church, I put hours in.
Mm-hmm.
God,
Right.
I put these hours in, God got me. So fast forward, I had my first son, DeAndre Fitzgerald Jr. I had him August 9, 2004. During that time, a couple months after that, he was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's a genetic disease, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He got it from one of us, me as his mother, and it affected his X chromosome. Well, being young, we're young now. We had another baby right after having Little Joe. We had Kayma and Kocysha, and they both had the disease, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Now, the doctors told us that with this disease, they wasn't expecting to live past the age of 13.
Okay.
They told us this. So when he told me this, I was like, I don't want to hear that. Doctors tell you stuff all the time. I got God. You hear me?
Right.
I know him. I know him on a personal level. You see what I'm saying? So what the doctor said and my background, and then I don't want to say immature, my young mind made me believe that my babies were going to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't want to make it sound like God don't heal. He does.
Right.
I just thought with my background, with my hours that I put in, God was going to take care of my babies. God was going to heal them.
Mm-hmm.
So I naively thought, I don't care. I'm going to just pray my babies are going to be fine. Well, as I was going, I met my wife. We got married. She had three beautiful kids prior to our marriage, but I accepted them. So I'm a young man, 18, 19.
Wow.
Dating this woman with 3 kids. I got 2 babies that are sick. But so I'm taking all this in, and I'm thinking, okay, you gotta do this. You got a family to take care of. I'm interjecting myself as to being a man,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still young and mature. I mean, immature in the mind. I'm gonna go ahead and say immature now. Immature in the mind, because that's what really my thought process is at this time. So Little Dre died first.
Okay.
And it was a shock to me. It was shocking. But again, I can't show weakness. I can't break down because I have to be a man for my wife, and I got other babies around. I got other babies that I need to take care of. So I can't be weak. But I'm in disbelief because God was supposed to save him. So I don't know how to address me losing him. The only way I could handle that was to cover it up and keep going. Because that's what I'm relating back to my upbringing. I'm a man.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got time to worry about losing this. You got a family to take care of. Not trying to be funny. He gone. He in heaven.
Right.
You got to keep moving.
Right.
So I bottled it up. I'm going on. Okay, I got one more baby. I still got my other step kids. I got to keep going. I got a wife. I got business to take care of. Came on. Unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
You done lost 2 babies. And is earth shattering. And I don't know how to say I'm hurt. I don't know how to say I'm crushed. Because I've been taught to be strong. So now, if you don't have that and you have all these hurt feelings, it turns into anger. It turns into resentment. Me and God are beefing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
You were supposed to. What I grew up learning, you were supposed to heal them. You were supposed to come in because I went to church. I was in the choir. I was on the usher board. I put the time in. Why didn't you save my babies? I don't understand. You healed everybody else. Why not my kids?
Mhm.
I gave my childhood was, I gave you what I was supposed to give you, and you didn't keep your end of the bargain.
Mhm.
That's okay. I don't know where to go. So I'm still a man. So I keep going. I still got 3 other babies that I need to take care of. I still got a wife to take care of, and we're gonna keep going. Well, my wife had 3 kids, and she's telling this. she had a suicide, and she
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
untie.
Say that part again because you kind of froze up a little.
Okay, I'm sorry. My wife, she had 3 kids, and she had her tubes tied.
Okay.
Well, after my second son had passed, and she seen me kind of, being in this depressed,
Mhm.
evil, I won't say evil, but mean type demeanor, what I'm saying? We talked about it or whatever. And she was like, well, I want to know if I can give you a child. Let's see if we can give you, let's see if me and you can have a baby. Not to replace K. Mondre, but it seemed like you're hurting. Let's try to heal you.
Mhm.
And she went to get her tubes untied. And at the time of her getting her found out, going through the process, she had a fibroid to overtake her uterus.
Mm.
And they ended up, when they was going to take the fibroid out, it overtook her uterus, and they had to take her whole uterus out. So
Wow.
she had a hysterectomy.
Okay.
So after hearing that, okay, gloves are off, God. You done took one son, you done took another. Then the woman that you gave me to marry, you done took her womb. So I can't have kids. You are killing me as a man. Because that's, as a man, you think about legacy. You think about
Right.
think about passing your knowledge on to a child, your kids and everything. So I was like, okay, you're cutting me down. You're cutting me down. I was trying to do it your way, but I can't. I can't do this. You gave me this woman. She can't have my kids. You took my kids. Now I'm angry with you. I'm gonna do it myself. You're not gonna do it for me. And on top of it, like I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but like I said, I had a mean demeanor. Hurt people, whether we know it, whether you know it or not.
Right.
And I'm young raising kids. She had 3 other kids. We had 3 other kids. Those are my kids. So now I lost 2 boys. I'm putting pressure on 2 boys that know their father, but I'm hurt. So they're mine now. You get what I'm saying? I didn't took somebody else's kid trying to make them mine. And I think I hurt them because I was hurt.
Right.
So it was over, like, I'm trying to find myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to teach them to be tough. I'm teaching them what I was taught. But I'm doing it in a way that I think now was more hurtful than helpful.
Right.
So we're still going. We're going. She had to get something. So I get to the point where I'm fighting with myself. How can you be a man and run your household if you can't have kids? You don't have kids. You don't have your own biological kids. So I'm fighting with this every day, because when you have kids come in, kids don't know what they say and how it hurts. When they call mama, and mama, I want to go over daddy's house, and then they call you Dre.
Right.
When you expecting them to call you dad because you lost 2 boys. So being young and not mature enough in the mind to handle that, I retracted in. I really got to myself, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So I tell my wife, I don't know how long we was married at this time. We probably was married, I want to say 8, 9 years. We're not 8, 9 years in. Right. And I go and I tell her, I can't do this anymore. You can't have my kids. If I stay with you, my name is done. I don't have anybody else to pass my name on. I want kids. And I think that it really hurt her. It really crushed her. But I think I had to do that in order to really find myself. So we split up. I'm jumping ahead of myself again. At the time, we're comfortable. We're not, big or anything, but we're comfortable. We got a vehicle. We can get back and forth to work. We can get the kids. I got a decent job. So sometimes when you're doing good, you forget to see what blessings you already have. And it takes sometimes you stepping away to realize how good those blessings were.
Right.
So I'm so hung up on the fact that I don't have kids, or that I think I'm missing something. I forget all this. I minimize and neglect how blessed I am. So you get blinders on. You forget everything else. When you focused on this, I can't have kids. That's it. My life is over.
Right.
I tell my wife I'm leaving. I go out, and I'm out there. I'm out there. I'm being a male. I'm being a single male. You get my drift.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
So doing that, my first thing was I went from a house, sleeping in a king size bed with my wife, to sleeping on my cousin's floor. So I think that was the first thing that hit me, but it's small. I can tough that out. That's no big deal.
Exactly.
That's nothing. That's small. Then okay, so now I'm going from getting my meals brought to me to me having to make my own food. So I ain't got it like that. So I'm eating eggs. I'm eating omelets in the morning for breakfast. I'm eating omelets for lunch, and I'm eating omelets for dinner. Because I'm struggling. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that's fine. That's nothing. I'm gonna tough that out. Me and my cousin got into it, so I got put out. So now I'm not living in the part on the floor no more. I'm in my van. I'm in a van.
Oh, wow.
So I'm living out of a van, but it's okay. I'm good. I'm good. And you steady sitting in that lie, like everything is fine. It took me losing that good job that I had. And I was thinking, because you have to think about it. They loved me at this job. They loved me. Oh, we love you so great. You're everything else. It went from that, like, to the next week they fired. And so when they fired me, I'm at this point like, what can I do now? like I'm literally like, damn, God, what, you done took everything. What else do you want? Like I can't give you nothing else. I tried to do it on my own. I still ain't had no baby, and now you took more stuff from me than I already had. So it's gonna sound cliche. It's gonna sound like whatever. It's gonna sound like I'm making this up. But I heard something said, "Go home." And you know how you hear something, but you don't really. And I heard it again say, "Go home." So my thought process was like, I know they ain't talking about go back to hell. I go back to hell.
Right.
And then it was like, go home. So I was like, how am I go? You know where he's telling you to go, but you trying to go think of anywhere else but here. So I'm thinking, I know he's telling me to go back to my wife, but I just told this woman that I don't want her no more. You can't have my kids. I'm not, what black woman you can tell that?
Right.
Come back. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to be humble. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. I have nothing. I'm in a van with no job and my clothes in here. I have nothing. And I'm finna go back to this woman to tell her that I left you and I got less than what I got. So I went to my wife. And this is the first time that God had shown me how real he was. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew, like, and when you young, and you in church playing. But this is like the first step. Like I didn't realize it then, but now that I'm older, I understand. But when I went back to my wife and I said, I lost my job and I don't have it. And she said, I was waiting on you. God told me to wait for you. And I said, what? She was like, God told me he was doing something. He was doing something with you and told me to hold on to you.
Wow.
At the time, I'm thinking, all right, whatever, sure. I'm glad he said that because I need somewhere to stay. this my mindset.
Exactly. Wow.
I'm glad that he told you that because I ain't got nowhere to stay. So I go back. I go back home. We work on our relationship. I lost that job. I don't want to say they fired me like on a Friday, something like that. I told my wife that I was, coming, I didn't have anything that Saturday. I got a job interview for the same type of job at a different hospital that Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's kind of crazy. I lost one job. I go back home, lay myself out, tell my wife where I'm at, and she tell me to come. She was waiting on me. Then Thursday, I have a job interview for the same job that I just lost. So I think, okay, now thinking back, God playing with me. He's showing me now. I'm always, this is what you're supposed to have been here in the first place, but you so blind on thinking about everything else, you missing it. So I end up getting the job. The job is the same job that I had that I just got fired from. So I'm back in this, we trying to do our thing. We trying to go back to bring the family back thing, but I still don't have any kids. I'm still harboring on it. I'm still letting it affect me. And it was like 2:00 in the morning one day. My mama used to watch T.D. Jakes all the time, all through the night. Mm-hmm. And I said, something was wrestling with me. I couldn't sleep. I was just up. And something told me to just go in the front room and turn the TV on. So I went in the front room, sat down, and T.D. Jakes was playing on TV. And the name of the sermon was Still Friends. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I said, that's kind of weird, but okay, whatever. So as T.D. Jakes was speaking, he said, faithful are the wounds of a friend. And he was like, you ever had someone that was dressed wrong or something that didn't fit on them correctly? And they was like, ooh, they ain't got no friends. And he said, sometimes a friend will cut you and it'll hurt, but it's necessary. Mm. Sometimes, so somebody, ooh, girl, that don't look good on you. Ooh, you might need to change that. It's hurtful, but it's necessary. Right. And I was listening, I was like, And then as the more and more he spoke and he was preaching, he said, can God cut you to prune you back to make, and then to bring more fruit? Like he was talking about the fruit tree. You have to prune the tree back in order to bring more fruit. Can God cut you in order for you to bear more fruit? Or if he cuts you, can you accept it and still praise his name? Or are you going to be bitter about it? And that's at that moment, I started to cry. Because the whole time that I was at church, I always thought God was there to give, was the gift bearer. Mm-hmm. I never thought it from a perspective of God and his will. Mm-hmm. I always thought it was our will and God just helped us out. Mm-hmm. So from going from a childhood and sitting there and listening to T.D. Jakes, I cried because I turned my back on God. Not that he turned his back on me, I turned my back on him. I couldn't do nothing with my son's disease, but I was so hung up on it that when they died, I didn't think, oh, they're in a better place. I just felt like you took them from me. I didn't think about he took their pain away. They weren't going through getting shots anymore. They wasn't getting pick lines. They wasn't suffering more. They wasn't hurting. I was so hurt that he just took them from me, not realizing they wasn't mine to begin with. He was loaning them to me. So I started to cry, and I started to, as he kept preaching, I started thinking back about those stories, about how he took Job's money, he took his sons, he took his kids, and Job still praised his name. I fell to the floor crying, and I was ashamed. I was so ashamed and hurt that I turned my back on him, and I couldn't fathom what emotions went over on me during that at that period of time. I just knew I had a different perspective after listening to that sermon. So I've said from now on, from this point on, I'm gonna make sure that whatever I do is gonna be aligned with what God wants. So I every time before I do anything, even this show, I say, God, let your will be done and follow and order my steps. I don't want to ever get out of line with him again. I do want a child. But I don't want a child where I'm on, that I'm not in line with what God wants. Me and my wife are still together to this day.
Praise God.
Can't have kids, and she's like, you still can't have kids. And I don't have a way to explain it to her. I do, but I'll never deter from what God is telling me. And he has never led me away from her. So I don't want to say, I'm not trying to say it's like materialistic or anything. I cannot explain it to you to this day what it is. But I'm so connected to that woman because of the connection I had with God that day when I was listening to T.D. Jakes. So she doesn't understand it. I don't understand it, but I'm connected through her because it seems like it's like God ordained it. God has chosen, this is your wife. This is where you're supposed to be at. Since I've been back with my wife, we have seen nothing but growth and blessing after blessing. It's not to say, I'm not trying to make it out like there's no hard days. There's no moments where we like, but it always comes out better on the other side. Like we've never gotten a rut where it's just stuck. It's just only for a season. He's always blessing us. He's always keeping us. So I know that this is where he wants me to be. And I'm gonna stick in this path and be in this lane aligned with what he has for me instead of trying to make my own path. So I make sure whatever I do from now on, Father, let your will be done and order my steps. I take that with me with everything that I do, and it has nothing but propelled me up and up and up ever since that 2:00 in the morning night on the floor listening to T.D. Jakes. Yeah.
Wow. Whew. Okay, I'm over there trying not to cry. When y'all will find I am a big crybaby, and but again, I am, as I've said on other shows, I am a backstory type of girl. So seeing, hearing where people have come from, what people have dealt with, looking at you today, you would, even when I read it and having grown up with you, and again, we've not been in contact, but except through social media, but it's like, when I read it, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I can't even begin to imagine. But first, let me say thank you, Dre, for your transparency, for being so open about what you've been through. And man, the nuggets that you the wisdom that I'm hearing from you as you speak. Oh, it just
Right.
makes me so proud of you. And I'm just thankful to God for how he has been moving in your life. And I know that your mom would be proud of you as well.
Yes, yes.
Bless her heart. So let's dig in here.
Okay.
So you were 18 years old, 18 to 19 years old. You got a wife, you got 2 kids. You lost 2 kids. And first of all, so you talked about legacy and how not having, you lost the 2 you had, and now you're at a point where you can't have your own.
Right.
What would you tell a man, or what can you share with a man who may be in that same position, who they're looking at legacy, and that's how we've been taught, basically legacy, passing something down to your own seed, your own biological child. But what is another way that maybe you can look at legacy so that you're not stuck in, oh, well, I can't have a child, so I can't leave a legacy? What did God show you anything other, as far as legacy? Like, you don't have a biological child, but that doesn't mean that you can't still have a legacy. How did God speak to you regarding that?
Well, let me start with my 2 boys. My two grown sons. They're my stepsons, but they're my sons. I thought that I wasn't reaching them. Like I said, kids don't understand. They just know that they have a mama, they have a dad, and they have a stepdad. And as they were growing up, I was thinking, oh, they really ain't really studied me like that. But now that they're older, they come and tell me a lot of times, we thank you, Drake. We appreciate what you did for us. We understand it now. We thank you. So with that, then I also have nephews that I get, and I deal with, and they're much older now, and I deal with them a lot. So one way that God has showed me, he showed me that legacy wasn't just bloodline. It just wasn't passing it on down to your son. He was saying, you have a lot of sons out here. My sister got 5 boys. He was like, you can pass all that to them. You got sons there. You got sons here. I coached youth basketball for some long time with my dad, summer basketball. Some of them boys to this day tell me, Dre, we appreciate you for coming to get us and taking us to those basketball tournaments. He's like, you don't know what that means to us doing those basketball tournaments. And I had to take a sit back, and I was like, that's the legacy that I'm leaving. They know that I did more than I had to. That's the legacy. They appreciate. They say about we needed that. It showed me there was something else outside of health. You know what I'm saying? They should. It was more to life than what they were doing down there. So God has shown me in several ways the impact that you have is not just with your son or your kids, is how you impact people. It's the impression you put up on them so they can strive to be better and a better version of themselves. So I could tell you all day about the different ways. I had I built some furniture, a little hat rack for a lady, and she came up and she was like, she said, y'all don't understand what y'all mean to me. She said, I just love y'all relationship. She said, y'all have impacted me. Y'all relationship has impacted me so much. That's legacy. When people tell me how they look at us and see, they admire us. That right there is showing me that God is showing I can impact people in different ways, and it's just not that having a son up under you.
I can't even add anything else to that. That was powerful and so on point. Wow. I hope y'all picking that up. Wow, that was powerful, Dre. So you just kind of morphed into a transition into how someone was talking about you and your wife and how she is led by y'all, how she feels about y'all. And that's kind of my next question too. How important, so you talked about, so you leave and you lose everything you had, and then you come back empty-handed pretty much. And she's she's a powerful woman, and she says she's been waiting on you. God told her to wait on you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we know a lot of females are not that graceful. A lot of females are not that humble.
Right.
So I want to know, so when, and I know you shared that when she told you that, you was like, well, good, I'm glad he told you that, because that means I got a place to lay my head.
Yeah.
I know that, but in hindsight, looking at that, how important was that to you as a man for your wife to say, for your wife to accept you when you're coming back empty-handed with nothing, for her to accept you and welcome you back into the house? How important was that to you becoming better?
It wasn't until like, okay, so it wasn't until like me and my wife graduated together from Euler and back in 2014, and we graduated at the same time. And it was during when I really figured out that we were graduating together, and I sat back and I thought, because I have pride issues. I'm not gonna lie. I had to get over those. So I was sitting there thinking to myself, if she had tried to come back to me, I wouldn't have been able to accept her. And I sit and I think, and I was like, that's a tough pill to swallow. That's hard to be. I hurt her, and then that's like kicking somebody when they die. I'm going to ask her for a hand up, and I didn't kick her and put her on the ground. And I was when we were graduating, I was so in awe that God didn't harden her heart, that He kept her love flowing for me, that she was willing to open her arms. It was the start of the transition. It was the start of the transition of what I thought God should have been to what I know what He is now. God can open and close doors for you, and sometimes He closes them in order for you to go a different direction. And I think that was His way of showing, like, I think the losing a job, staying, living out the van, I think that was Him shutting those doors to say, I'm directing you where I want you to go. And going back to a door I thought I closed, a door that I thought I shut down, and He redirected me back to that door. It was showing that, hey, I'm God, I'm all powerful. I'm showing you where you need to be. So I think her opening, leaving her arms open and waiting for me was God's way of showing, I'm here. You're not gonna, I'm the head, and you're gonna follow me. And that's how I think it was one of the biggest things of my life to this day, is the part of me of transitioning and turning in a different direction, having a different thought process. She probably gonna hear this and say, yeah, it was me. But truly, honestly, God, it's the God in her to allowing, God to keep her heart open like that, to receive me like that, to keep an open mind, to not be bitter, to not be ugly, to not be mean, to be understanding. You know what I'm saying? I think it had to do a lot with her background too, of she's the perfect woman for me, if that makes sense.
Right.
The woman that He had brought her up through her background and the things that she had to go through, she had all the right to be mean, ugly, and she didn't. I don't want to tell her story because she's her own author and she tells her own story, but she was perfect for me in that time, for me transitioning from that boy to that man, if I could say that.
Wow, how awesome. Wow.
And most men won't have that or have that experience. So I am very much grateful for her.
Oh, yes. Count your blessings, my dear. Count your blessings. Wow. So just as we're getting near the end, so as a man, having gone through that, and so just by chance, so did you ever seek therapy during the time that you were depressed or going down?
I did not, and I should have. Okay. But again, it's that stigma of, being a man. We don't need to talk to nobody. You suck it up and you push through. You don't, you don't need nothing. You're a man. Just be tough and tough it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my mindset. Even then, even through my transition, I should have went to therapy. I think that would have helped me a little bit better of understanding, understanding my path and having opened doors up, a little bit better. But I'm hard-headed. I'm still hard-headed now. Some stuff that, I'm not perfect. I'm not by no means perfect. I don't have all the answers, but I think I should have went to therapy and it would have helped me better. I probably still should go do some kind of therapy just to, keep the juices flowing, keep myself fresh, and keep a clear-minded. I just got busy and just making excuses. I'm not going to get, but I encourage any man out there, if you're listening, get therapy, get help. I know it's a stigma that we don't need to, but I think we really, as men, should go through and do therapy to really have someone to outlet to talk to, because we're so shut up and we don't want to dive into our feelings or say something hurt us. It's like letting your guard down and somebody has a weapon to use against you now. And I think that we need to let that stigma go. We need to be able to go in and have someone to talk to let that stress out, so we won't be so pent up and angry and tough all the time. You know what I'm saying? We can still be that, but we need to be able to let some of that go. Let our shield down and be open and be free like that, and be able to talk. We can heal so much more by doing that as men. We can heal other men. We can bring other men up to let them know it's okay to feel like this. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be like that. So I think, yes, therapy is a big thing that we should do now and continue to do as men.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So I have one last question. So one of the things you talked about was how, again, we from the same hometown, grew up in the same church, and it's not just that particular church, it was just the culture during that time, so to speak. Because just like you, I grew up hearing these stories, but if I'm honest, it wasn't until I was probably 20 years old before I truly understood what it meant to have a relationship with God. We didn't grow up, and that's not to say anything bad about them, but it's just that was not really taught.
It was. Yeah.
You talked about that and how when you finally got that better understanding of who God is, that he's not just a gift bearer, that he really is your friend. He is your mother, your father, your brother. He is all of these things to us relationally. So just take us out before we get to the end part. So this last part, just kind of share with the men who are listening how important it is to what it meant to actually see God relationally. Not just he's the giver or he has to do this for me, but to actually see him from a relational, from an intimate standpoint, like, no, he really has my back. He is here for me. He has my best interest at heart.
Like I said, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my mother for sending me to church, because your foundation is everything. A foundation of a house is how the house is built and everything. So her sending me to church was my foundation. I didn't understand it then, but she had put a foundation in me. So later on in life, when I got to me doing everything that I wanted to, and God really breaking me down, I had a foundation there. So when stuff did open my eyes and I did realize certain things, it was because of my foundation that was already laid. I feel for men that didn't get that foundation of church. Because, as kids, don't nobody want to go to church all day. They don't want to do Sunday school, church, then
a program,
then Bible study, a program, Bible study at the end. Don't nobody want to go through all that, but it's so important for later on in life. She planted those seeds in me. So now that when I got old and I got there, I went through that hardship and I met the cross bearing my soul. And he come and he show, and you see something, he show you something that's not normal. Because if you don't have that foundation, he'll show you something not normal and you will miss it because of that foundation you don't have. So I'm so grateful for that foundation, because when he showed me something that I wasn't used to, I recognized it from the stories of Job losing all his sons and God still blessed him, or how God raised Lazarus from the dead. So it was so unique and so it wasn't able to be explained. So when it happened, I was like, there it is right there. I was able to acknowledge it, and it was because of my foundation. So it's everything. That church foundation was everything for me in my transition and understanding the purpose God had played in my life later on in life. So it's like you can never get away from you. Once you give your life to God, you can go on about your way, but he always gonna be there. You're gonna always have to come back to him. So I think I hope I answered your question. That was just the biggest part of my life, that foundation, and then later on being able to recognize when he showed up in my life.
Awesome. I love what you said, but let me rephrase the question, because I really want you to hone in on this.
Okay, I might have.
That's okay. No, you're good. How has your better understanding, or how has your new relationship with God affected your relationship with everybody else?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not as mean anymore. I learned.
Right.
No, seriously, I learned to let go of that anger, because I was really angry with God, and you hear people. I don't know if people like to say it, or it's just something don't say. I was angry. I'm not gonna lie. I was angry with God. I felt like he owed me something. He didn't give it to me, and we beefing now. But I going through that, I had to understand that God don't owe you anything. You his child. Just like I'm my mama's child, we belong to him. He orders our path. So going through that, having this relation, I don't hold on to anger. So usually when somebody make me mad, I'm mad. I'm mad forget you. I don't fool with you. Now I learned you can't hold on it. We're not promised tomorrow. You can't sit there and hold on to anger and be angry with people. You have to forgive and let go, because God did that for you. God ain't angry at you. God ain't holding on stuff to you. So right. I'm not perfect. I'm better than I was. Okay?
Right.
Right. I'm trying to make people like you come do something, cuss me out, and I'm gonna be fine tomorrow. No, but I am better than what I was. If you ask my wife, she'd say you totally two different people now. Because you say that all the time, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. I was bad. She's like, no, you have no idea how bad you were. You don't know how mean. She's like, I don't want to say you were evil, but you were pretty mean. You would like snap at the drop of a dime. You'll get real angry. So you be foaming at the mouth. She said you would turn to somebody else. I said I wasn't that bad.
Wow.
But she said, but she loves who the person I am today, because I'm not quick to anger. I'm quick to trying to understand people's perspective. I don't try to take one person's side. I try to see the whole picture, the whole picture or whatever. I'm a lot more clear-headed. I take things in and I dissect them instead of just taking them in and just quick throw something out. So I think the relationship that I have got with God now has changed to how I treat others and how I deal with other people. So I'm still a work in progress. I am not perfect, but I know how to deal with things a lot, even things that are tough. I know how to sit and talk. This hurt me. I know how to sit and talk to my wife, because usually, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I can sit and talk to her. No, baby, that hurt me. That affected me. Don't put my feelings to the back. That my feelings are important too. She needs to know. Hey, that hurt me. I'm hurting over here. That affected me. That made me mad. I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? So able to sit there and tell her though, it helps my wife to understand me more, understand me
Right.
better, help us to communicate and comprehend each other a little bit better.
Mhm.
So I mean, it is everything. It's everything to my life.
Wow. I love it. And you hit on like all of what you just said is powerful. But one of the things that you mentioned was how your relationship with other people changed and you're not doing certain things you used to do, or how you're patient with people because God was the same way with you. So it's like
Right,
how
right.
God was with you, that's now how you are with other people. I love that.
Yes.
Whew. Thank you, Ray, so much. Thank you so much. That was powerful. That was awesome. Before we end, give us your, and I am super proud of you. I know your wife has her book coming out, or is out, or it's getting ready to come out if it's not out already.
Yeah, it's getting ready to come out.
I know that I can see y'all truly being a awesome power couple. Like God is not through with y'all. Like there is you doing
Yes,
this
ma'am.
interview her with her book coming out. Like there is so much more. There is so
I
much
hope
more
so.
for y'all.
I
So
pray. Yes, ma'am.
so get ready. So with that being said, give us your social media handles, Dre, your, if you have a website or any email address, how can people get in touch with you? And make sure you tell us about your DIY, your teddy bears workshop.
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about everything, guys. I started this small business back in 2020. I just built like our patio furniture. We were sitting at the home, like everybody else. And my wife was like, we need to do that patio. So we had somebody redo the patio. She's like, now we need furniture. I said, well, let me try to build it. So we went out there and built, like, who built this furniture? And I was like, I did. They were like, I want some. And from there, I've just been building. Wow. And that was last year, July 2020. And I've been building stuff ever since. You can get me at Facebook at Teddy Bears Workshop. And I'm on Instagram at Teddy Bears Workshop. My email address is workingbear2020@gmail.com. I can build I don't want to say I can build anything. I do a lot of small to medium DIY projects. I can't build a patio or no foundation or anything like that yet. I plan to go back to school in the fall, trying to just better hone my skills and go through some little classes or whatever. But yeah, you can find me at those places. And if you want Teddy Bear to build you something, just message me and I'll try to give you a good quote.
Awesome. And I've actually seen some of the work you've done that you've been posting on Facebook. So I've seen the hat rack, and I just recently saw the wig rack. Or
the wig rack,
that's awesome. I was like, oh, that's cool. Somebody need that one. And the different furniture that you've done. So you have been doing awesome. And again, I just pray God's continuous blessings for both you and your wife and your family. And thank you again for being on this show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So with that being said, y'all, thank you for tuning in to another episode of From the Hearts of Men. I pray that your heart has been blessed, that your spirit has been stirred by something that DeAndre has shared with us on today. With that being said, my name is Kocysha LaShaun, the host of this particular show. And be safe, stay safe. Remember to be a blessing to someone else. God bless.